And we're live. It is Tuesday, the 27th of January. It is 8 a.m. in Washington, D.C. It is 3 p.m. in Kyiv, Ukraine. And, I just want to say that I am in a hotel room where there is no power, but there is Wi-Fi. And according to my trusty Chromebook, I have an hour and 36 minutes of battery life on my computer, which I don't trust for a minute. But if I need to switch to my iPhone to continue this show, I will. And so if I suddenly seem to be a different Ben Wittes than you're used to, and looking like I suddenly switched from a computer to an iPhone, it's probably because I did. And if I blink out for a minute, it's probably because I'm switching. So just bear with me, and we're going to deal with that. We have Mike Feinberg with us today. We have the estimable Holly Berkley Fletcher with us today. We have 2 cactuses and a snowman, and
all cactuses.
3 cactuses and a snowman. And you are watching Dog Shirt TV. And cactuses?
You're watching Dog Shirt TV, a forking revolution in morning television.
You are watching Dog Shirt TV. It is a forking revolution in morning television. And one of the revolutionary features, of which there are many, is that, sometimes I am at a meeting at the headquarters of the media operation of a frontline battalion, and we get into a really cool conversation that was supposed to take half an hour or maybe less, but it takes 2.5 hours because we're all really just enjoying the conversation. And, this operation has a weird startup vibe to it, and it's got like exposed brick walls, and it's kind of like, what if you had a media operation for a frontline unit, only it was cool. That was kind of like what it was like. And then you realize that you have half an hour to get to.
He's frozen, which is easy to do right now because everything's frozen.
I think I may not be
here and in
connected
Kyiv.
anymore. Everything is frozen.
Sorry, go ahead, Holly.
I was just going to ask how you were managing to dig out from the ice with your incapacities.
With a disc herniation and multiple disc degenerations.
Yes. How did you manage?
I have not dug out.
Oh, okay.
My wife salted extensively the night before, but the snowfall was enough that it didn't make a difference. So we're just going to do a home production of The Shining. And I hope that, but I fear, like, look, I can work from here. I fear my wife is going to take on the Jack Nicholson role.
So when did I blink out, guys?
You were
telling a story about being with the media reps or unit with a front.
Oh, yeah.
Brigade.
But the point is, I got half an hour. It was half an hour before the show, and before I suddenly realized, because Mike Feinberg texted, "Are we doing a show today?" that I was, supposed to be live in half an hour, and so I raced back to the hotel, and here I am. And another one of the revolutionary features is that sometimes the internet is not the best, and so I blink out, and then Mike and Holly talk about dealing with ICE. And when I come back in, I don't know if they're talking about immigration, customs enforcement, or whether they're talking about the snowstorm. Either is a possibility. And so you have to listen for context clues about these things, all of which is a long-winded way of saying that we are not allowed to have fun anymore, but we are allowed to have ice and snow and more killing people, soda, and also allowed to go to Kyiv over the weekend and find myself here. So let's just start with you, Holly. What are you thinking about this Tuesday morning?
Well, first of all, you look well. You look like you're not bundled up in a million layers, because so I assume that means even without power, your hotel is okay. Um,
The heat in the hotel is just fine. It is also warmer than it has been in Kyiv, at least for the current couple of days.
Presently, it's probably warmer there than it is here, because
it's
right
supposed to get
now,
very cold again here, but right now it is, you know, manageably in the teens and 20s, and yeah, it is warmer than that here. Uh, um, the power is a real issue. Uh, people are, you know, power will come in and go off at any time of day or night, and you just deal with it. But it is, uh, I have to say, I have not felt unsafe a moment that I've been here, and it is a remarkably interesting place to spend time.
oh, I'm sure, I'm sure. Did you pack
Um,
dog shirts though? Did you even pack any?
I did not bring a single dog shirt
Wow.
to
Is it
Ukraine.
not an acceptable practice to wear
Well,
dog shirts?
so I think the general explanation for my lack of dog shirts on this trip is twofold. One is I am meeting with a lot of people who are under a lot of stress, and I don't want to. They're not people who know that I wear dog shirts, and so I don't want to, first of all, detain them with any time having to explain the dog shirt situation. And secondly, I don't want, also, more importantly, I don't want anybody to feel like I'm making fun of them, or which is what sometimes happens if you don't explain, well, I always wear dog shirts. It's not really for your benefit. And so, uh, uh, you know, it's one thing when you have a persona in the United States that you always wear dog shirts, to then always wear dog shirts, and then people expect it. But you know, I'm in a place where people are stressed out enough, and I don't want to, you know, add to, even in incremental ways, by being the, you know, annoying self-centered American who shows up inappropriately dressed.
Well, you look like frickin' George Clooney, man. You've got your hair is all cut. You look clean shaven. You're wearing respectable clothes. Yeah, you look like a
You know,
very,
you're hurting them. You're hurting my soul. But yes, I'm
You
dressed
know, I mean,
respectfully.
Holly, I think we might be different in that when I first met Ben, like easily the first 30 times I saw him, he was in a collared shirt and blazer. It was like this business casual Ben, which no longer exists.
Yeah,
that was
I
before
used
my
to
time.
dress. I used until the pandemic. I
Pandemic.
dressed respectably,
The
and
pandemic
then
broke him.
the pandemic's healed me.
Yeah,
Um.
same.
Uh. So, Mike, what's on your mind this morning?
Um, I'm pretty proud of myself actually. Because last night around 10:30, 10:40, I finished a novel for the first time since our kid was born.
Wow.
It only took me 6 months, but I feel like I don't know, like some things are starting to return to normalcy.
And what book did you finish reading?
It was the new Ian McEwan novel, What We Can Know.
Was it good?
And and
I
how do we read it?
I really liked it. One of the common criticisms of him is that his plots are almost like mechanically constructed. Like I've heard him referred to as a watchmaker in the sense of just how neat everything meshes and is set up. And if that's a criticism, the people who hold that view are not going to like this one. But if you don't mind that, it's great.
I like things to be orderly and well constructed. Isn't he the one that wrote Atonement? And
Yeah, he is.
yeah,
He is.
yeah. No, that's good.
My first semester of law school's grades were probably my worst semester in law school, and I chalk it up to the fact that right before finals, Ian McEwan's Atonement came out roughly contemporaneously with W.G. Sebald's last novel, Austerlitz, and I spent too much time reading those instead of case law.
Well, it's understandable, it's
It's
understandable.
also a good investment in time because case law you will forget, and novels you will not. Uh, Speaking of novels and speaking of books, I would be remiss if I did not remind you all that the next episode of the Mara Book Club is meeting on February 15th from 6 o'clock to 7:30 p.m. Our guest will be Corey Shockey, the author of the new book, The State and the Soldier, A History of Civil Military Relations in the United States, and its fiction wine pairing Redeployment, and by Phil Clay. And I did the other day just send a picture of this book that I brought with me to Ukraine from a train to Corey. And so, yeah, that's reminder that that's happening and you should join us.
I have a couple of exciting announcements, unless you have other agenda items.
I have lots of other agenda items, but none of them takes precedence over exciting announcements.
Anyway, I'm wearing my Principal's First sweatshirt, and that's a good reminder to tell you all that the Principal's First Summit is coming up in February, the weekend of the 21st, and yours truly is on the program.
That is exciting.
Yes, I am on the actual program. I think I'm going to be moderating a panel featuring one Benjamin Wittes and other people.
Can
I'm
we
not
do
sure.
lots of inside jokes on that panel that only Greek chorus members would get?
Maybe, although the other two panelists, I probably wouldn't get them either because I don't think that they are purveyors or not
I think
purveyors, but
I think
consumers.
you and I should try to slip in as
Well,
many
I could just bring a
references.
cactus and set it there and not comment.
Well, that would count. That would be a point for you. We should just try to get as many dog shirt TV references and inside jokes as possible in, and see how many members of the Greek chorus can spot them all.
And let me just say that the reason I'm on the program is because a few years ago I met one Melissa Milhorn, who just seemed like a nice person at Principals First, and I decided she was a cool person, and I wanted to be her friend. And then I saw her various other places, and we kept in touch, and then lo and behold, she ends up being kind of a fancy person, and she ends up putting me on things that I have no business being on. And she's so thank you, Melissa. And
Dirty little secret, Holly. That's how you become a fancy person.
yeah, I'm
Is you
gathering
meet
that.
fancy people and they start inviting you to do fancy person things.
I know, I know. So people, and then if you go to the event website, like my picture is like the first picture. It's like people are going to be like, who the hell is this? And they're going to move on. So I'm not sure that's a good strategic decision, Melissa. But anyway, it's good to have friends who have advantageous positions and who irrationally think you're awesome. So I think you're awesome, Melissa. I think you should be, if I'm on the program, you should be on the program. And yeah, I thank you. I'm really excited about it. I was planning to attend and volunteer like I did, like I've done in previous years. But now I get to be on the program with the fancy people, so that's good. Secondly, I have gotten a regular columnist gig. Yeah, both, and this is the best part about it. So it's for a progressive Christian outlet called Good Faith Media. And so I'm going to write one serious column for them a month. I've got to do my first one this week. But then the
Are they
best
going to
part,
also publish is like parody videos part of their
well, this
jam?
is the exciting part. They've decided the world is too serious and they've launched Bad Faith Media, which is yes, which is a satire site. And I get to write a monthly or submit a monthly submission for them as well. And I think we all know which side of that house I belong on more, and that is the Bad Faith Media page.
I
So I'm
think
super excited about that.
I think Bad Faith Media is like one of the best names for a site. Um, I love that for them.
Yeah, I know. So that's exciting. And then let's
Because
see what are,
we've thought about starting spin-off sites for from Lawfare. Scott Anderson, I don't know if I should say this publicly, but Scott Anderson wanted to start a vegetarian cooking site and call it Rawfare. And we were going to start a national security law site for dogs and call it Pawfare.
oh
We had a
wow.
bunch of these, but Rawfare was my favorite.
That's amazing. I love that. And then I'm going to Oklahoma in another week or so, and I have three events there. One at Lawton University in Lawton Cameron University in Lawton. I always do that. In Lawton, Oklahoma, and then I'm speaking at a church in Oklahoma City. And then what I'm really excited about is I am doing an art party event with a pro-democracy organization called Sally's List. And they have invited me to come and do the American flag art with their members and talk about creative activism. So I'm excited about all of these things. And yeah, if you're in Oklahoma City area, let me know and I'll give you the details for that. And then let's see. I think that's about it. I am, yeah. And then Ben has put me on a couple boards that I won't go into, but I'm very excited about all of it.
All right. Um, well, I left town Saturday just after the latest shooting in by ICE in Minnesota, assuming there haven't been any additional ones.
So I'm gonna jump in for a second, and make a point. It was not ICE. The second shooting, I believe, was Customs and Border Patrol. And I raise this because I think we are making a rhetorical error when we talk about how to handle ICE. We need to be talking about how to handle DHS because the subsidiary agencies within DHS and really all of federal law enforcement in general has sort of become one amalgamated force, working as this like Praetorian Guard's the wrong term, but like
I don't
the
know.
allegiance has shifted from neutral enforcement to a tool of policy, and we need we need to be clear the problem is not just ICE.
Yeah, so I was going to say, and the error reflects my disconnection over the last couple of days. Bring me up to speed. What do we know about what happened, and what is the current state of things in Minneapolis?
Greg Bovino has been sent home. There is a recognition from the White House, according to a story in the New York Times that this is not going well for them from a PR perspective, which I think is both an understatement and hopefully not the only filter through which they're viewing things. But it's been enough that Bovino has been removed from his role as, I think the title they gave him was Commander at Large. And he is being...
So SS. Command.
Yeah, it really goes well with his
A little bit of Gruppenführer, Bovino.
And his like massive coat, his duster coat that he's wearing out there.
So he's going back to the El Centro sector. CBP breaks the country up into sectors similar to the Coast Guard. And actually, it might be all of DHS now that I think about it. But anyway, so he's going back to El Centro. They're flying in Tom Homan to be the sort of de facto on the ground representative, which is weird because there's no Kavas in Minnesota, but that's neither here nor there. And yeah, it's one of the interesting things about the meeting that was reported is that Stephen Miller was apparently not present. I don't want to become a Kremlinologist and read too much into that, but it is an interesting factoid.
My question is, what's going to happen to the Greg Bovino, SS style coat? Because I don't think it's appropriate for the weather in California. So who's going to get that? Is he just going to wear it around the house as like a bathrobe?
I mean, I assume he had it for cosplay purposes before it became a functional garment. So.
Anyway, so sad to hear that about poor little Greg.
I actually am a little sad. And I'll explain why, because it's not going to be intuitive, but like, this is a cosmetic change.
Oh, sure.
It's not like the agency is going to seriously reform its policies or tactics simply because he's not there. They're just, it's not so much as putting a Band-Aid on it. It's more covering up a scab, maybe. I don't know.
Or like getting your next, refill
like
for Christy Nome,
and like, this isn't going to change anything. And, I'll be more frank on this show than I would in some of my other commentary. Like, Chuck Schumer's already making noises that the message should be about reforming ICE, not about abolishing it or taking away its jurisdiction. And this is really going to throw a sop to the people who are rather squishy on confronting what's actually happening.
Yeah.
So walk me through a couple of points related to what you've just said. The first is when you say it's a DHS thing, DHS has a lot of different investigative components, some of which are...
Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, some of which are seriously implicated by what you've said, like ICE, CPB. What about, but there are some more, not elite by FBI standards, but there are some agencies within DHS that I wouldn't have thought would be obviously covered by that. HSI has some serious investigative capacities, mostly not used, at least historically, for tracking down illegal immigrants. Certainly Secret Service is, so what are the, when you say it's not just an ICE thing, it's a DHS thing, what are the agencies that you're including in that, and what are the ones that you would say, I don't know there to be a problem there?
I don't know that I agree with the premise of the question, which is that we can separate them. The problem is, when DHS was created, it was created as a cabinet department, which gives it a larger footprint with the White House than other federal law enforcement agencies. The director of the FBI is not a cabinet position. The administrator of DEA is not a cabinet position. They're all subsidiary to other departments. But giving an organization with DHS, which has the ability to move its budget around within its subsidiary departments so that it can, rob from FEMA to pay for ICE or what have you, really gives them a degree of power that other federal law enforcement agencies do not have. So that's point one that I'd raise. Point two, I don't know that there is a federal agency at this point that is not implicated in what's going on, in the sense that you essentially have, you have gun carriers in the government. There are different job series. There are officers and there are special agents. I think it's like in 1811 classification versus an 1801. But if you're in any of those two categories, a substantial part of your workforce has been reallocated to immigration enforcement. It's true of the FBI. It's true of ATF. It's true of all of them. So I don't know that we can really separate any of the gun carrying agencies or departments out from our generalizations. And the reason I say we've got to talk about DHS as a problem writ large is it's also the easiest problem to fix simply by getting rid of it. The component agencies were not less effective when they were not under the same umbrella. It's not like FEMA has gotten better at disaster response in the years since 2001. If anything, we've seen more failures on their part to really rise to occasions. The Secret Service was not less effective when they were under the Department of the Treasury. If anything, they were less scandal prone than they've been since 2001. And look, I was against DHS from the beginning for sort of politically conservative reasons. I just don't think any problem in government is made better by adding a layer of bureaucracy. And like, it's just this weird Frankenstein's monster of a department. And it has shown that, like, maybe because it's so new compared to others, it doesn't have the sort of public service or ethical culture that older agencies have developed through making mistakes over time. Like,
right. Although that's not an argument for breaking it up. That's an argument for letting it acquire some longevity, right?
but why? Like, I guess if it was bringing a real value to law enforcement or safety, I'd agree with that. But I mean, Holly and I spent our careers in the national security and law enforcement space, and like, I never saw a problem that wasn't made worse by DHS getting involved. I mean, I'm being serious. I remember one of the first cases I was aware of when I was in Los Angeles was a matter being worked jointly. It was a counterintelligence, counterproliferation matter being worked jointly by the FBI and HSI. And there were, 4 or 5 subjects, and 2 of them were arrested, and everything was done under seal to keep it quiet because the others were out of the country but going to come back. And, HSI put out a fucking press release about the 2 that we got before the other ones came back, and they were never brought to justice. Like, there really is, whether it's a lack of training, whether it's lower recruitment standards, I don't know. But like, people ask me what I think of DHS, and the joke I make that is actually true is like, every bell curve of ability needs a left tail. And that's true in the government as anywhere else.
All right.
Sorry, I
So
rambled a bit
next question. What do we know? And I've really been
Yeah.
detached for the last few days. And so, what do we know about the investigation, if there is anything going on about this latest killing, either at the federal or state level?
It's a cluster, and it has been the subject of a few emergency hearings in the District of Minnesota. Essentially, what happened is Minnesota's Bureau of Criminal Apprehension did show up to try and do an investigation. They were physically stopped by a perimeter of federal officers and agents from examining the scene. The FBI has said they are not going to investigate it. DOJ has said there is not going to be a civil rights investigation. And that DHS is investigating it in-house. Which is weird because I've never heard of DHS doing a civil rights or use of force investigation. But it's bad enough, and the level of distrust is enough that there were emergency injunctions requested by the state to demand that the federal government not destroy evidence. We are in a bad place if the working assumption by state officials is that the federal government is going to destroy evidence of a potential crime, and the federal government doesn't, and the federal government chooses to contest that hearing. Like, it's just things are not copacetic.
I have a question, Mike. I saw online some witnesses had submitted affidavits in some case related to this shooting, it wasn't clear to me, like really, like the day of or later, and it was under a U.S. court.
Yeah, the hearings are in the District of Minnesota.
Yeah, so have they already filed a case? Is that the injunction you're talking about, or
as far as I know, those
okay.
affidavits were exhibits to the pleading.
Yeah, and some
I'd
of the
be lying if I
witnesses,
said I was following this aspect of it incredibly closely.
at least one of the witnesses submitted anonymously because they said they were afraid for their own safety. I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah, there's some weird stuff going on. I made probably my angriest LinkedIn post ever last night.
Ooh, on LinkedIn, that I'm sure created a stir.
That'll show 'em, Mike.
And Blue Sky as well. I just had more characters available to me on LinkedIn. And what I was raging against was Kash Patel saying that the FBI is going to investigate the signal groups that volunteers are using to protect immigrants. Yeah, and look, my Blue Sky is public. People can see what I said. But I have been shocked by the positive reception, me explicitly telling my former colleagues that they are not going to be able to look their children's in the eye or themselves in the mirror when this is all over received.
From your former colleagues, or from
former nobody who's currently in responded.
Yeah.
But I had 40 people on LinkedIn, which for LinkedIn is a lot. Like,
That is a lot.
really like it, and they were all alumni of the federal law enforcement community. Like, there is a recognition, and I've been corresponding with some of them privately, that like the line did not hold, and the people who we thought would take their oath seriously and be willing to put their careers between the institution and illegal orders is just not holding.
Yeah, it's really shocking. In fact, to me, like the fact that it was CBP, not ICE, which I realize it's all one giant Frankenstein, but still, like you would think it's ICE that they've been ramping up all of this hiring and cutting corners on the training. I assume CBP probably has more officers who've been in place for a while, and yet they're the ones who did this. And it is egregious. The Renee Good case was bad. But you could sort of parse it. But this one is just like obviously awful.
But it's predictable. The thing is, none of these agencies, none of the federal law enforcement agencies at all, actually, have experience doing street patrols
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
or block by block urban policing. It's not something they train at Quantico. It's
That's
not
a good
something they
point.
train
Yeah.
at Fletcher. It's not what the organizations are meant to do. And
Crowd
they're training and
control, things
experience
like
This is
that.
what city police forces do.
That's right.
They're like, and this is what really bothers me is like a lot of what ICE is claiming or DHS is claiming that protesters are doing are not violations of federal law. There might be an argument that they are violating state or local laws, but in the state of Minnesota, federal agents, except in very rare circumstances, do not have peace officer status. And they are not legally allowed to enforce state and local law unless it is under the supervision of a state or local official. So it's fucked up 6 ways from Sunday. And this again was predictable because in 2020, when Bill Barr had flashbacks to the Vietnam era at Columbia University because people were protesting the death of George Floyd, he ordered every federal agency in the world that has gun carriers to patrol the streets of DC. And I will just give you one example of what that experience was like. They paired us up randomly for the first week or so. So you could be an FBI squad patrolling with a bunch of ICE officers or ATF agents. It wasn't like you were just working with your own agency. And the sector my squad got paired with got paired with a Bureau of Prisons Tactical Response Team, their equivalent of SWAT. And, you know, they had even less experience.
And had they read Proust?
No, I don't think so.
No, and did they have law degrees?
I'm quite sure they did not.
And how is their Mandarin?
Than me.
How is their Mandarin?
I'm guessing non-existent, but that's not valued even.
How can you be expected to work under these conditions, Feinberg?
Exactly. It was barbaric. No, but so I was the supervisor of the squad, so I was, one of the two people in charge, the team leader for the Bureau of Prisons tactical team, and I.
At least a non-Proust reader wasn't in charge. That would have been unacceptable.
So he and I go to the side away from our respective subordinates, and we just sort of game plan what's going to go on. And he's talking about well, look, man, here are our less than lethal munitions. And if protesters get too close, we're going to use pepper balls. And if the pepper balls don't deter them, we're going to go to CS gas. And if that doesn't work, we're going to go to sort of more kinetic, less lethal munitions. And I look at this guy, and I was probably not very politic. I probably spoke to him like he was an idiot. And I pointed out...
Well, he hadn't read Proust.
Neither had I at that point, actually. But I pointed out to him, I'm like, could you maybe refrain from using the pepper balls and tear gas? Because I don't know if you noticed, but the FBI doesn't give any of us the protective gear for that. So it's really great that you and your guys have gas masks, but before you throw a tear gas grenade, could you maybe consider that's going to affect half of us as well as the protesters? They just weren't fucking thinking. And it's not their fault. They're thrown in an environment that they're not trained for or equipped to deal with. And that's what's happening now in Minnesota.
So, with respect to Minnesota, is it fair to say that the state of play is that they're not doing any federal investigation, they're impeding any state investigation, and they've withdrawn Bovino, because he's become embarrassing? What do you take
I think two of those three things are true. They are definitely impeding a state investigation. I mean, the state has explicitly said that. Excuse me. The state has explicitly said that, and there's litigation over it. They have definitely withdrawn Bovino, apparently out of embarrassment, and according to reporting in multiple outlets, have banned him from posting on social media. Todd Blanche has said there's a DHS investigation of the shooting, but we don't know, as the public, what that means.
Right.
They also said there was an investigation of the Renee Good shooting, and it came out that what the FBI was actually investigating was Renee Good, not the shooter. So, yeah, it's really hard to tell completely what's going on because A, the government isn't forthcoming, and B, when they are forthcoming, we don't know if they're telling the truth.
Right. All right. Which brings me to a matter that when last I checked, the administration was de-escalating, which is the Greenland standoff. They seemed to be somewhat backing down in the state of Danish intransigence and refusal to yield up the territory. Is the should I start yet the campaign of bashing Trump for failing to acquire Greenland, and or is American sovereignty there just around the corner? Holly, what's the latest in the Greenland crisis?
Well, it seems like another episode in, what people are calling Taco Tuesdays, where he sort of gets spooked and backtracks. I fear that the Europeans, I think the Canadians are done. They have his number. They are never trusting him again. They are never trusting the United States again. The Canadians have moved into a new era, I think. They're in their Eras tour. They've moved on to the new album, and but the Europeans,
it's their China era.
Yeah, yes, their China era. Yes, which I guess they can worry about that later. But the Europeans, I fear, are gonna. I don't know. I'm afraid they're like caving. Although it sounds like the deal that they're working on is basically just what the U.S. had before. Like,
as in more bases.
Yeah, I mean, I guess more bases or more presence on base, but it's not a substantially different arrangement from what I can tell, although it's all still being discussed. But Trump is declaring victory in the art of the deal. And, and here's the thing, and why not?
Wait a minute. Hang on. You say the U.S. needs to annex Greenland. We need to have sovereignty over Greenland.
That's right.
You
Yeah.
emerge without sovereignty over Greenland.
Yeah.
Shouldn't somebody run in the 2026 campaign like broken promises? We still don't have Greenland. I mean, that's the Senate campaign I would run.
That's right. It would be funny to do like a satirical like alt campaign where you basically run against Trump.
Run against all the Trump administration
things
failures.
He didn't do, like he didn't kill
There's
all the protesters.
I'm here in Kyiv, Ukraine, where it is 365 24 hours later, and there is no deal.
There's no deal. Yeah. So the deal, it's more. He literally, I think, used the phrasing again, which is popular with him. The deal still. It's a concept of a deal. It's not like a full deal yet. But the main thing is the markets actually got spooked over all this, and that apparently got his attention. But here's the thing. This is how you deal with your friends and men. So for future reference, take notes, take a page. If you want me to do something differently on this show or in any other respect, just threaten my life, threaten to blow up my house, threaten to like invade my home and like take my family hostage. And then when I say like you didn't have to do that, but okay, then just to move on with our friendship as if nothing happened. That's a totally normal way of handling friendships. So
Right. So I think, you're joking, but I do think that one lesson we all learn from this is that we don't make enough vapid, empty threats at the people in our lives. And,
yeah,
you know,
Speak
um,
for yourself.
I'm just saying, not however many you make, Mike, it may not be enough. For example, when was the last time you saw somebody with a giant, uh, almost continent-sized sheet of ice and said, "You have to give that to me because it's essential to my psychology. I have a psychological need to
I have a
acquire that from
psychological
you."
need. Yeah.
And then she says to you, or he says to you, "No, I'm not going to give you the continent sized sheet of ice." And so you say, "Okay, how about some basing rights?" And and then she says,
So
"Okay,
basing rights to bases we
We
already have
already
rights
have.
to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right,
exactly.
right. How about you give me nothing?"
Yeah.
And then she says, "Okay," and then you trumpet it as a victory.
Yeah. I mean, that's what he does. So Ben, so this is what's going to happen, Ben, and I'm just going to give you a heads up ahead of time because I've really learned the art of the deal, in this whole episode. So once you have the cabin in the woods like nicely fixed up to where it could be inhabitable, I'm just going to move in. I'm sure.
Annex it.
Yeah, I'm just going to move into the cabin in the woods. Now, I'm sure that if I had asked you, you would probably let me go there for a weekend, if I need to get away. You would probably do that for me. But I want the whole thing, and so I'm just going to move in, and that's how it's going to be. So,
Right. So John Hawkinson asks whether I have brought a projector to Kyiv. And I will say that the answer is no. Um, and the reason is that, you know, this country has enough special military operations
yeah, you
being run
probably don't want
against
to
it right now.
confuse anybody.
And though Lord Laser and the various Gobo projectors would be welcome here, I did not come here to make a show of myself. I came here to talk to people and listen to people, and I'm doing actually no public events, at least not that I know of here. And really spending time educating myself, not doing anything in public. So, uh, yes, John also points out that there is a bit of a lack of power, which is true. I am still sitting in the hotel in the dark right now. People do amazing things to compensate for the lack of power. Nastya and I were in a cafe yesterday doing Lawfare's morning editorial meeting, and the power went out. And within 5 minutes or so, there was a lit candle on every table, and a generator was running to run the internet. So, the impact, and the coffee machine, the espresso maker. And so people have really, are the adaptability of the society is remarkable. Um, but the um, but the environment is not. Uh, you know, it's a strange time to be here. It's not a time when the weather is, beautiful, and when you think of like times to visit Kyiv, late January, early February is really not one of them, and it really does remind you what you know not that we're quite on the step yet here, but what this part of the world is like weather-wise. Um, and so, uh, it's like there are a lot of people who come to Kyiv for theatrical public reasons, and I am not doing that. Not that I have any problem with people being theatrical. I'm certainly capable of a certain showmanship myself, but I did not come to here to do uh, to bring Lord Laser to Kyiv, though I'm sure Lord Laser would be welcome here. Um, so, all right, I am now caught up on the news. At least I think I am. What else have I missed that I should be aware of?
Well, we did get a snowstorm here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I assume that's been
Easiest
everybody's
thing.
freaked out in a Washington way, and it's all
yeah,
very silly.
it's actually really terrible. I mean, we didn't get that much. I don't know how much actual snow we got. We got not more ice, I think.
Like where I am, I think we got like 8 or 9 inches, maybe.
Oh, really? That much?
Yeah, there's enough. Like I'm looking out the window right now, and of course, like everything's covered. Nothing's been plowed.
Oh,
Uh,
we've been plowed here. I live on a major road, which is handy. Um,
yeah,
and yeah, so
I'm in a warren of curvy residential streets that I'm guessing will never get plowed. Like the plan is probably just for the sun to melt it.
yeah. Okay, well, good luck with that.
Yeah.
Get some snowshoes or something,
Well, I
you
just
know?
feel bad. Like I can't even like shovel out my driveway. You know, it's a pain in the ass.
I think
Yeah.
injury is a full explanation. Um, Joel asks whether Nastya has set up the snowsuit fundraiser, and the answer to that is that the snowsuit fundraiser is not distinct from the battery fundraiser. We have now, I did the accounting this morning. We are now just below $50,000 on the battery fundraiser. We have bought and distributed, I think it is 15, um, we're still counting, and we did some distribution last night. Um, uh, but we are working on, um, you know, the supply of batteries here is running a little bit low, and so we may shift additional funds to snowsuits or small heaters or heated blankets, which are actually the most efficient way to heat people. And so these have the advantage of being much cheaper than other things. Batteries being very expensive, heaters being a little bit expensive, blankets being cheaper, snowsuits being cheaper. So we're thinking about diversifying the acquisitions to try to make more stuff available to more people. We reserve the right to reprogram a little bit of money that's already been donated in that direction. And if people want to help us do that with additional contributions, they are welcome to do that. But we won't be setting up a separate fundraiser for it just for administrative convenience reasons. And the Dog Shirt Daily today will have a detailed update on progress on Operation Battery. As I mentioned in yesterday's post, I participated in 2 battery deliveries last night, one of which was a complete surprise to the recipients who did not know that they were getting a battery. And it was very moving to be part of it. It was really a uh, unlike any other philanthropic experience. Not that I have a lot of experience with philanthropy, but it's unlike any other experience I've had remotely like it. Kate,
Great.
you get the question, the last comment,
Okay.
question, whatever today.
Well, I just wanted to come on, and last week I received these gorgeous, wonderful paintings from Holly. I absolutely love this one. And then I got the Ukraine one as well. And I have not decided if they will be going up here in my house in Philly or if the one that we're going out in Tahoe, but they will be hung, and I've been telling everyone about them. So last time I checked, I think the store was on pause, but
No, I
once it
reopened it. I got caught
Oh,
up. So
okay.
yeah,
I
I
was traveling. All right,
reopened
good,
it
perfect. So,
so you can
thank you
see
so
that.
much, Holly. These are just absolutely wonderful. Like I said, I mean, they looked great on the site, but just in person, guys, they're great. So, thank you, thank you.
And
Thank
Holly,
you.
tell everybody how you have distributed the proceeds from the store.
Well, the trot, which I got so many orders in January that again I had to briefly pause the shot because I was so overwhelmed. But I gave all of the money so far this year to the battery fund. So $700. The next tranche will be funding this democracy workshop in Oklahoma. I have to buy the supplies for that, so that's going to cost about $500. So I need to raise the money for that.
Well, excellent. Thank you for the contribution. I blinked out just as you started speaking, so I assume that, but I will assume I know what you probably said.
Well,
And
hopefully you got the money because I sent it to you. So
I did definitely get the money. And for those who were wondering, we have now, we are still working on getting money from Washington to Ukraine. We've gotten about $35,000 in, but there is still more to come. And so, so, stay tuned on that, and we will be, as I said, there will be a more detailed financial accounting this evening on the show, or on the site. We are going to leave it there, folks, before I blink out again. I think we are going to be working on this time frame for, but there may be short notice changes in the time of the show, depending on when meetings get scheduled and whatnot. So keep your eye on the calendar. If you log in and for some reason I do not go live at 8 o'clock local time, check the calendar, and there will, if I push the show, I will first of all notify the co-hosts, but secondly, I will make notes on the calendar so that everybody will be able to know that. Folks, we're going to be back tomorrow. I have no idea who the co-hosts are going to be. I have no idea who the guests are going to be. I do know that my computer has running out of batteries, and it just went dim to save power. So I am going to bring this show to a close. You are all great Americans, great Australians, great Ukrainians, and great Finns. And we will see you tomorrow.